Hey everybody, welcome to Myopia Movies. This week we're talking a graveyard shift. That's right, we're staying in King Country as we put together yet another movie. And in fact, in some ways, this one smells to me the most like a King movie we've done, if that makes sense. It's got a very simple setup, a couple scenes where people are drinking in a bar, a monster, and the asshole dies. Like, it's kind of just a perfect, nice setup. Don't have to think about it. Not high concept King movie. And it's pretty good. At least it was fun to watch. Anyway, we want to thank you for listening. Thanks you for supporting us. And thanks for sharing. Anything you can do to keep us on the charts and keep us in other people's ears, please share it with us. Next week, we're doing a King project. He wrote one of the stories and he wrote the overall script. But we're doing the 1982 Creep Show, which also stars Stephen King. So get King by the spoonful there. And then, thanks for all you do. Bye.
Welcome to our Stephen King month on Myopia Movies. Of course, last week we started with the classic car movie, Christine. And this week we have jumped. I don't remember if I said this in the episode. I probably did. But we're not doing The Fog because it turns out Stephen King had nothing to do with that.
My bad.
Instead, we are doing Graveyard Shift, a 1990s movie based on a King short story where he appears as the Rat King. I'm your host, Nick Hoffman, and on panel we've got
Atlanta author Matthew W. Quinn, who had to come up with this one real quick because The Fog was my mistake. Mea culpa. I will now whip myself like in future episode Silent Night, Deadly Night.
And Kieko.
And Steve, you may know me from
6 years ago.
pointless attempts at clinging to relevance and probably nothing else.
I'm Charlie Rose.
This is, I'm going to guess, made on a made-for-TV budget. No one's in this except for Brad Dourif for 10 minutes.
No way, did you see the bad guy? Like, it was so cool. That was their whole budget.
It was. And they do it right because we only see the bad guy for 7 seconds. Like, the whole thing at the very end, as he's eating the fork.
Well, not really. We get glimpses of it because I kept changing my mind as to what I thought this monster was. So, like, the first little glimpse, I'm like, okay, it's a crab. It's an evil crab. It's a crab monster. Yes. Then we see something else. I'm like, okay, it's a bat. All right, change my mind. It's a bat. Then we see something, and then I'm like, okay, it's like a
crab bat.
And then it has like a scorpion appendage. So It's a crab bat scorpion.
Yeah.
Sorry, it's a spoiler to reveal what the monster is.
I appreciate the imagination, though. I just thought it was a rat the whole movie because
Why? It had claws.
Because there were rats everywhere, and rats and mutations.
I feel a song coming on you. Here comes a giant rat, underneath a mill.
I don't even know. I'm sorry. No.
No, let's actually continue because I want to know where this is.
I don't remember. I haven't made up the rest of the lyrics yet.
Oh, you're still working on it.
That'll be a Substack premium post maybe.
Just loop that in post.
World According to Quinn Substack.
Wait,
check it out.
How does it go? Here comes
the giant rat.
Here comes the giant rat. Underneath
Wait. I got it. You're doing Men in Black.
Yes.
Oh no, that's Here Comes a Giant Rat.
See? Living under the mill and eating dudes.
Okay, you should have a barbershop quartet.
Whoever's editing this and pull this out, pull out his music. I'll loop it over the credits.
Alrighty.
I had no idea. Wow.
I didn't either. I see it now though.
Yeah. Okay.
Will Smith gonna slap us for copyright infringement?
Moving swiftly along.
The Graveyard Shift. Stephen King in a series of OSHA violations.
The most pro-labor horror film of all time.
Oh, no, dude. If anything, this was like, he goes, you have 4 weeks before you can join the union. And I'm just like, dude, you need to join it right now.
I really liked how the movie opened on this, like, machine just chugging away, and I was like, somebody's gonna eat it on that machine, like
Totally.
100%.
I bet you didn't guess it was going to be a giant bat rat scorpion thing.
No, I hadn't figured that out at the beginning of the movie yet.
Well, at one point you see it going into the water like a crocodile. You see its tail going up.
Yeah.
The batadile, the ratadile. This is some Dr. Moreau shit.
Ratacrab, a scorpion, a dial.
Oh.
People have been drinking this water too. It's
I
pretty
mean-
unsettling.
Well, I do love. Okay, before we go any further,
Let's break it down. What's this
Let's-
movie really about?
Matt, please give us a plot synopsis.
All right, so it's a mill in this small town in Maine where everyone sounds like the guy from Pet Sematary, and this young man who's a college student, I think he's widowed or divorced or something, because they do shots of his wedding ring. He's trying to get a fresh start in this town, and the skeezy foreman of the mill basically hires him as a temp or something to clean out the nasty basement that is going to get the mill shut down. He basically pays off the OSHA inspector to come back next week.
With $200.
$200.
I mean,
In Bush 1.0 bucks.
I mean, I guess that was a lot of money in 1990.
in 1990 in rural Maine, that's $200.
So there's the workers he doesn't like, including this woman who had turned down his advances because he's a skis bag on multiple levels. Like he's banging at least one of the employees who might bang more. And so they're supposed to clean out the basement under the mill. But as we mentioned earlier at the beginning, somebody is lunch. There's something under the mill. Nom, 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 nom.
So the mill is actually a really interesting point of this movie.
Yeah.
The Bartlett Mill. I did some research. This was more interesting than the movie for me. The historic Bartlett Mill, and there's still in operation. It's still an operational mill. I mean, you can go to their website, bartlettyarns.com. They're not sponsoring this episode, but if they want to, that's fine. They sell lovely 2 and 3 ply yarn. You can buy rug yarn. You can buy sports swirls. It's incredible. So check them out. I mean, honest to goodness, like jokes aside, this mill is actually a very creepy, like they had a very intrinsically creepy setting for this movie, because this mill is just, it's kind of old and rusted and 200 years old, and it's lovely.
But do they have a rat problem? Like, do they have a basement that's like collapsed with like some kind of weird corpse river underneath that is never really explained?
Do they have an adjacent graveyard?
Yeah.
Well, but I mean, and our lovely panelists here bring up the important point here, which is why on earth would they sign up for it? It's in the same way that, like, why did SeaWorld allow Jaws 3 to be filmed there? Like,
I think we were speaking about
Dump truck full of money. Isn't that how everything gets done in Hollywood?
$200.
I think they needed a cash advance to get this movie out the door, so now they're on the hook for marketing for bartlettyarns.com to this day.
I do appreciate how intrinsically creepy New England is, though, because you're right. The building is creepy. I didn't know that they made mills in the style of the Amityville Horror House, because it's got the big eyes, it looms, and Brad Dourif apparently just shows up with a giant rat vacuum and just shoots them into the river.
That was that was the most surreal thing, because when it starts, you're listening and you hear the foreman, and he's got a strange accent. You're not really sure what's going on there.
Yeah, I think he's like supposed to be some sort of like Russian.
Well, it's supposed to be a Mainer accent, and it's a bad Mainer.
I'm a strong son of New England.
Is it? I thought he was supposed to be foreign based on the way he was saying his words.
That is what people think Maine sounds like.
I think that is what people think. Well, let me put it this way. That is totally like Fred Gwynn from like the original Pet Sematary.
Pepperidge Farm remembers. Pepperidge Farm remembers where that body is hidden. But that's what this is. He's doing the
Okay.
But
Pepperidge Farm is going to blackmail you to do some extermination work for free, because I'm a real dickhead.
Brad Dourif's there, and he's got this heavy Southern accent. And so I'm guessing that they probably said, "Can you do a Maine accent?" And he tried, and they're like, "Oh, no. Why don't you stick with the Southern accent?"
I was going to say he put his foot down and said, "Sir, I am Brad Dourif, and I have one accent." But then I realized this is 1990. He is not art. I mean, he's done like the first Chucky movie, but he is not horror staple Brad Dourif in the way that I think of him. However, he shows up and he steals the movie whenever he's on screen, because he looks into your eyes and is like, black eyes like a rat's eyes. And she's like, what are you talking?
He's
It's just go for it.
he's Quint from Jaws with a Vietnam backstory involving rats
Yeah.
and a mullet.
And his monologue, I want to hear the comparison. Like, which is better, the Jaws monologue or this guy's
It's close.
trauma?
It's
Because
close.
he's back there and goes, I was there at Joe's apartment in 1996. The roaches took everything. It's just like,
He had a tear. He had a tear going down.
He's
his
talking
face.
about like the Viet Cong staking out American prisoners and shoving rats into their wounds and stuff. And he's just going on, and poor college boy is like, how do I get out of here?
And just if you're on your computer on your phone right now, pull up a picture of Brad Dourif. Go to IMDb and pull up Brad Dourif's photo because he is wearing a straw hat and he looks adorable.
You can watch this, the whole video on YouTube. It's called the Vietnamologue or something like that.
It's
Oh,
great.
really?
It's good. But anyway, Brad Dourif is one of my favorites, of course. Previous episode, he was in Lord of the Rings. He's Wormtongue. And he's in the second one and the third one, I believe. Definitely in the second one, which we've done. And of course, he's the voice of Chucky. And he just has a really kind of intense, creepy, unbreaking eye. So he's in a lot of horror shit.
And his credit for this film is the exterminator. They didn't even bother to give this guy a name. He's just that professional that we don't want to associate human-like qualities with him.
Which, by the by, better movie if we just follow this asshole around and then the rat, like the showdown is between him and the rat, bats, and elephants and shores.
Absolutely. It would be a better movie if it actually had featured him. I mean, instead we get low rent Fred Ward, who Fred Ward, I guess, is a low rent Robert De Niro, trying to like save the day and I don't know, kill the monster at the end.
Low rent Fred. The one that reminded me of Fred Ward is the foreman.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So
Foreman.
yeah,
I want to see this movie
Fred
now.
Ward. If Fred Ward was the non-union Mexican equivalent of Fred Ward, he was a villain.
Yeah.
I was going to say more like the Halloween store version of Fred Ward.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, and then we have Bert Sizzlechest, our hero, who is the most boring person I've ever seen as the hero of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? He carries a slingshot around with him.
Okay, but this is why it's a short story and the adaptation is weird because I think the message is, this is like a hardworking guy who got screwed over and he made it through this treacherous situation.
This is just a string of Stephen King tropes.
But
Okay.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
AI. This is like if AI was told.
ingested all of his work.
Yeah.
No,
No, that's a great example.
AI,
That's what I was thinking
I
of
need a
watching it.
movie
Yeah.
about rats and
And I want you to
Rats,
use
but make it
all
Stephen
the
King.
Stephen King tropes to tell this story.
Use
Because
them all.
you've got the drifter who uses a slingshot to save the day because he carries it with him.
Chekhov's slingshot.
Yeah, you've got the small Maine town. You've got the creepy, exterminator guy. I mean, and the bullies, the classic bullies, the bullies
Classic
getting their
bullies.
comeuppance. I mean, Stephen King's got a type. And every one of these people is the type.
Yep.
I mean, and here's the thing. I've read a lot of his books and I've seen a lot of his movies, and I like Stephen King. Period. Punctuation. No caveats here. But this is a Mad Lib Stephen King, set in a blank Maine town. Poor Maine town. Right? Set in a blank business. This time it's not Christine is set in a garage. This is
I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
I think
mean-
this sounds like a fun group game. Let's get Stephen King on the phone and pitch it. Come on.
Okay, so this time it's an affluent town, and the main character is going to travel through time, and he's going to stop the Kennedy assassination. Boom! You got 11/22/63. And again,
And along the way, he meets the kids from It at one point.
Yes, he does.
In the 63
we go.
book.
yeah, he does.
And you've just sort of tail-ended us into the Dark Tower. Thank you.
You've closed the circle. And by the way, if this drifter becomes a flag from the circle, from Dark Tower, it's
There
all the
we go.
same at this point.
There we go.
Again, you said this is Bush's America. This is George H.W. Bush America. $200 will pay off OSHA. Clearly, the bureaucracy is falling apart. Infrastructure is dying. Unions don't matter. We're this close to the apocalypse with rat creatures. All right. We should mention just the cold open, which blew me away, is the guy who had the job before.
Yep.
And he's just feeding Dorothy the rat, who pees all over his chair.
I think it's Dolores.
Dolores. Excuse me, yes.
Because Dolores is not a lady. Because she peed on the chair.
Dolores, you're no lady. And so he, spites her, and then the monster comes out to eat her. Him, which is
Does it
fantastic.
actually eat him, or does he go into the grinder?
Call me, hey.
I assume he gets eaten if only in the basement there is that pile of bones, which is never explained.
The people keep disappearing. So that's why they keep just sending more people down there because
that makes sense.
Yeah,
He disappeared in the middle of his shift, didn't take his check.
That's
It happens again.
Yeah,
That's
the
literally
now
what it was.
the now hiring sign keeps coming up.
So
Oh.
I watched the movie with closed captions on.
Oh, thank God.
Because I have kids and you just have to do that when you have kids. I don't know, something happens and you can't hear anymore. And it actually said in the beginning, when that guy was taunting the rats and the rats were getting riled up and staring at him, it said cringy theme playing.
The cringy theme.
Yeah,
Does-
cringy theme playing.
Is cringy
True
theme
words,
just
never
cotton picker
spoken.
grinding?
It was cringy theme.
Oh, it's that the just creepy the rats are looking at me music. That's why I thought that was funny.
At least it's not Willard.
Oh my.
I love John Williams, but he just gave everyone a cheat sheet how to make horror movies with Jaws, right? For what? Well, and then Carpenter comes along and
Yep.
it's just
With the electronic music.
that's right. And now, what's his name? Hans Zimmer with the Chris Nolan stuff, where it's just and that's all you need. And so creepy theme, it's just a mixture of Carpenter and Jaws, and then pow, we have dissonant sounds. I kind of love it. We're fine.
We're getting very close to being. I mean, you mentioned AI earlier, and we mentioned John Williams, John Williams is very a fantastic composer, but I think AI can just nail it. You've got such a big sample size. We could put this whole movie together with AI.
Okay.
And that's why
I think
there's
we
a
should.
strike on.
And it would probably be better.
you keep doing it. I have an idea here. Okay, so
He's plugging in the plot now. We got an AI script coming. Stay
So
tuned.
the guy is killed. He's eaten, or
To
ground up, or turned into.
Either way, as our esteemed host would put it, he's super dead.
He's super
Look,
dead.
He's
The,
super dead.
the number
Sorry.
of ground up bodies that end up in that cotton. They called it a cotton picker.
It's
not a cotton picker.
It's a pink mister. Let's be honest.
It's
A
gin.
pink
It's
mister.
a gin. It's a
It's
cotton
a
gin.
gin.
And so cotton picker picks the cotton from the field. Cotton gin separates the seed from the cotton. Yes, I know these things. I was raised in the South. What do you know?
Yeah, see the force.
Eli Whitney every year.
Yeah,
up until I think I was in 10th grade.
Yeah,
we studied
the
Eli
force
Whitney.
ghost of Eli Whitney is watching
Yes.
someone getting ground up in the machine. He's like, no.
I
No,
never
no.
intended for these electronic machines.
But yeah, so I don't want to wear cotton now because who knows how much rat viscera is in my
actually
clothes.
probably true.
It's
I was
probably
gonna
very
say-
true.
Rat viscera, low carbs.
I was gonna say though, how you show up at a job and there's this many rats, unless you're guy at the rat house at the zoo, which is first of all not a house at the zoo. You leave. If this was an Arby's, it would have been shut down probably months from now.
It would have been.
Months from now.
Okay, so everyone listen around the table. I'm going to ask you for various things. Give me a magical element.
Mithril.
Is that an
No,
element?
something magical that happens in the world. But
Oh.
I can do it. I
Oh,
can do magical armor.
okay.
I don't think Mithril's a
I don't think
magical-
we meant a magical metal
Yes.
element.
Well, I was that was really good. I don't know.
Give me a place. Not specific, but broad, countryside or forest or whatever.
Let's do at the beach.
Okay. Give me a character type.
a mustache twirling tycoon.
Okay.
I think it's gonna make Jaws.
And give me a hero type.
Let's say the last girl.
Last girl.
Last girl.
All right, ChatGPT, let's see what you can do.
You're prompting it for Stephen King, right?
Yeah.
Generate a Stephen. Okay, cool.
In the picturesque coastal town of Seaview, a dark mystical secret lies beneath the waves. When an enigmatic tycoon arrives seeking the legendary magical armor buried deep within the sands, he unwittingly sets off a series of chilling events. A fearless, alluring last girl becomes the town's only hope to confront the malevolent forces unleashed by the armor and the secrets that lay hidden beneath the depths of the ocean.
Well, there you go.
We have pitched.
Wow, ChatGPT could generate plots.
Oh, dude,
Easy
it has
peasy.
a synopsis. It's 5 paragraphs.
You can
long.
also
Like, there's even more.
Oh,
you
there's
can-
more. This is just the tagline.
you can turn it into a screenplay.
Yes, you could.
Which is why we have the strike.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. But also, this is utter nonsense. However, we're talking about an utter nonsense movie. Good movies they'll still be a Wes Anderson, but Netflix will be filled with this nonsense unless, SAG-AFTRA, support your local unions.
Ugh.
But anyway,
It'll be like Hallmark Christmas royal movies all the time.
I
Raw
happen to
movies
love those.
and saving the poinsettia farm and like, well, where are we gonna get a turkey this late? And,
Inheriting a random castle from a relative
Yeah.
you didn't know
I mean,
about.
isn't it always the problem? That's like Christmas Prince, right?
Prince is showing up out of nowhere for Christmas.
I mean, that's the problem in today's America. Just too many princes.
Too many princes.
Two princes who adore you. Just go ahead.
It's too many.
I hate this. I only acknowledge.
So
it.
back to the movie that has all the Stephen King tropes. Actually, all the Stephen King tropes except for the magical black man.
That's right.
I thought it was
noted-
Magical Black Woman.
No, there wasn't even a magical
Because-
black woman.
Yeah, because there's Mother Abigail in the stand, but there's John Coffey and
Yeah.
I was
the
expecting
Tom Hanks one where Green Mile.
Meanwhile,
I was expecting a character because the movie
well,
starts
there's your
and
problem right there.
okay, well hang on. So everybody's horrible, right? All these people are horrible. Like I don't care about any of them, and I'm like, all right, it's established. The only way I can enjoy this movie is if I go on the rat side. So 20 minutes in, I was rooting for the rats, but I was hoping for a character, a human, to come in who showed some kind of empathy. And every new character that gets introduced, I'm like, okay, maybe this is the one that's going to be nice to the rats.
No,
And
scumbag again.
no, everybody just died.
But that's great.
And I thought the black guy was going to be that person, though.
Yeah.
I thought he was going to be the one that was good.
Well,
The only two strong characters in this one are the foreman because he's just such a piece
He's
of
terrible.
trash, and the exterminator because he's just
Yeah.
cool in a
Weird.
creepy way.
Well, and he's not killing the rats. Well, except for that one. When he first meets our main
He's
character,
eating a rat or something. I don't know what it
Yeah,
is.
he's just holds out the rat and goes, takes it with his other hand to shake hands. It's very strange.
No, he was eating. He had his mouth. He was chewing, and so I don't know if he was eating the rat. I don't know if he was eating a sandwich and holding the rat. I don't know.
I mean, that's what
Hopefully-
you do, I guess.
Let's
know.
hope he washes
That's
his
true. You
hands.
don't
You
want to mix up
yeah.
you got a sandwich hand and a rat hand. And
Sandwich hand, rat hand.
You do not mix them up. It's first rule of exterminating.
Especially with that lovely food at the diner, which we never see.
Right.
No, but you bring up a very good point: is that none of these characters are relatable. Even the main character, the drifter, John, he's they don't give his backstory
Flat.
enough for you to care.
Yeah. No,
Like,
I
if-
didn't care.
Even if you gave a 5-minute introduction to him, what he's leaving, maybe his wife and his daughter died in a fire, and now he's trying to start over. Then yeah, maybe you can empathize with the guy. But all
He
these
did
people,
used to work in a diner.
He did work
Yeah.
as a
The
short.
only one, the character who has a backstory I could think of are Vietnam guy and Wisconsin, the woman, because she was divorced.
Oh, Jane, yes.
We do get 30 seconds with her to explain why it's okay that they're about to go to Pound Town, but that's kind of it. It's also, I mean, again, it's I assume an R-rated movie. It's a strangely chaste.
They dropped some
late-90s
F-bombs, so I'm pretty sure it's rated R.
Mhm.
Well, and there's a lot of blood and violence.
Yeah, it's an art. It's an
Yeah,
art.
I was actually a little bit bothered by the scene where the foreman attacks the lady and everybody in the town's just
It's weird.
After
Well,
she beats up his
the
car.
first cut of this
Yeah.
movie.
That was
actually,
Yeah, that's
a
a
got an
very
X.
That's a
No
Maury
kidding.
Povich
Yep.
shit there.
yeah.
Yep. The first cut of the movie got an X rating. they had to cut a lot of the gore, and apparently a nude scene involving Wisconsin was cut as well.
Oh, okay, so I saw the edited version.
Oh, so you saw the director's cut. You saw her naked.
No, I didn't see her. I saw the edited.
No,
this
was so it could make it from an X to an R.
I just saw the one that was on Amazon for $2.
I don't think that they have a director's cut of this movie.
Well, no, but we're going to repeat this conversation because that was one of the things about the other movie that we're going to be watching that you'll see.
Oh, yeah.
No problem with nudity in that.
Opinions on that one.
Yeah.
But for a horror movie in the 80s, 90s, for it not to show...
How many boobies?
I was going to say, there were no boobies. No boobies. It can't be a horror movie.
Yeah, because it sounded like she wanted him to come home with her for pounding, but all we see them eating.
For pounding.
What kind of... What
Hi, honey, you back from
I thought-
pounding?
We're talking about
someone being beaten up?
No, I thought they were going back to have sex.
Oh.
But instead, they're just sitting out of her trailer or something,
just talked
eating
about,
dinner.
like, someone being beaten up. Okay.
She was talking about assaulting. I referred to intercourse earlier as going to Pound Town, and
Yeah.
so he was
Oh,
conflagrating.
Yeah. So anyway, this movie was surprisingly chaste when it comes to sex.
Yes.
Full of curse words and
Bigotry.
oh my gosh, a little bit of bigotry
Like-
and gross. It was just gross.
There's like a scene where a guy gets his head wrapped around the bat wing and you see his face pushing up against it. That was well done.
Well, I was going to say,
Yeah.
the problem is that sexual assault scene is not needed. It comes out of nowhere. It doesn't make sense. And then it also doesn't make sense
but
why
this movie's coming out of the 80s.
But it does
And
also make
is
you
it
like...
really an 80s movie unless there's attempted rape? I mean,
Fair.
I'm just saying.
No,
Yeah.
you're not wrong.
It does make sense. Nardello is pissed that asshole Foreman is making a move on Wisconsin, and so she goes after his car. It's a Maury Povich shit here. He's my man.
No, but why does it have to be in there at all? These aren't characters. So, like, just have him show up and rape.
It
And by
makes
the way,
you dislike the Foreman more, I think. Like, at that was the point where I was like, okay, he is just, like,
They
absolutely
needed to drive him as an absolute scumbag.
terrible.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
there's
and-
nothing good about this
And
person.
that scene like bothered me a little bit because it looked like that wasn't like
He was really rough.
yeah, like
Yeah.
legitimately very rough. Like
dude, when he's outside the car, we're talking, okay, so let's just paint the picture. He has a girl of some sort, a girlfriend of some sort that we barely see in this movie, but he's hitting on this woman who works for him. So outside of a diner, they decide to have a showdown, and he like throws her up against the fender. He slaps the hell out of her. And it's our hero who steps in, Tom Hall or whatever his name is. But again, to me, we get that he's an asshole. We don't need to have him like assaulting this. He's already hitting on the coworker. It's really just sitting here. I just accomplished one of my watch goals. So
Good for you.
Podcasting is hard.
Good for you.
I do gesture a lot. But at the end of the, I mean, if you're not watching the video feed, it's coming out of Matt's eyes.
out of context. I'm not drunk. I'm just Italian. Sorry for knocking over your beer.
Shit. Anyway, so yes, we make him the villain not only because he has a Maine accent, but also because he's assaulting people. But they need him at the end for some reason to go down into the caves, which is weird. The last third of this movie is essentially aliens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they go into the deep dark place
Yes.
and they have to like stay alive because the monster is chasing them through, and they can't get out easily.
My favorite is Meathead guy with the hose.
Yes.
Brogan?
Brogan.
Yeah, he's one. There are a bunch of the small town bullies who pick on our hero because he's been to college or something. So it ends up with our hero, the small town bullies, this random black guy who people aren't nice to, the woman, and they guilt trip asshole Foreman to going along with him.
Yeah, for some reason the foreman decides to give him the power to choose another person to go down with him, and he's like, I choose
I'm not a
you, foreman.
And it's just like, what just happened?
Well, one
Yeah,
guy quits in the middle of it.
I will say though, Matt, you nailed it. The black guy, the woman, the big guy, like, because none of these are characters.
Right. that one guy and that other guy, and they were all
And then-
down there.
the Weasley white guy who was what, I don't know He looked like someone. Who did he look like?
Are you talking about the guy? There was a guy that I kept thinking looked like the guy from Firefly Lane, like the Australian guy from Firefly, like mildly like him, but I was like, to the point that I was like, wait, was this him like when he was
Firefly? Like Steve
no,
the
he was
Pirate
like-
Firefly?
Christian
Firefly
Slater,
Lane?
Ethan,
No,
he had a
it's
bit of a
like
Slater
it's like
vibe.
a girl show.
Ethan,
Hawk. Yeah,
Ethan Hawke. I mean, low rent Ethan Hawke.
Oh,
low rent
you're
Fred
talking about
Ward.
the character Danson.
Yeah.
That's a character actor, Andrew Divoff, who's also in Wishmaster. He's in Air Force One as one of the Russian baddies. He's in future episode Toy Soldier, which if you've not seen Toy Soldier,
Ooh, that's a movie.
do you remember this one?
I remember Toy Soldier.
Okay, it's
A
Sean
lot.
Astin, Will Wheaton,
Yes.
Keith
Oh,
Coogan,
yes.
rather, and
It takes place at a
Boarding
military boarding school.
yeah,
Of course,
And-
I remember that. That was like a fever dream when I was in high school.
and Denholm Elliott from Indiana Jones is the headmaster, and a bunch of terrorists take over the building to hold the rich kids hostage. And so
Yeah, you need to let me know when we're recording that one.
yes.
So I'm
I've watched it a lot.
I saw
thank
that
you.
one too.
Lou Gossett Jr. is
Oh,
in
yes.
it too. Like, it's nuts. And by the way, Keith Coogan's character is Snuffy Bradbury.
In
Dude.
this movie?
No, in
Toy Soldier.
In Toy Soldier. But yeah,
Anyway,
Andrew Divoff is kind of B movie royalty. He just
So-
appears in everything.
So that's this movie. Was there was kind of a Snuffberry in this movie? So what did you?
Yeah,
like?
that was one of the people's names.
That was the name
you
of the
can't
rat.
remember.
So one of the rats is named Snuffberry.
was-
So what
Dolores
did you
and
like
Snuffberry.
about this film? I heard Will Wheaton and I got excited and sidetracked, but that's not what this film is about.
Well, I actually, I am into animal actors. So I was curious about the doggy, but I couldn't find any information on if the doggy, Roxy,
Yeah,
the exterminator's doggy, was in anything else, because it reminded me of the dog from Zeus and Roxanne, but I was like, I don't know if the timing is right or whatever. I don't think it was the dog from Zeus and Roxanne, but that was one of my favorites as a kid.
You're pitching Dog MDB, and I'm here for it.
I thought it would have already existed,
I
so that's
mean-
what I was like, dog actor in Graveyard Shift. I was like, I'm not
I mean,
getting
this sounds
what
like
I
a
want.
thing that could probably make millions.
So
I mean, it might be very depressing though, because there'd be 17 Otises for Milo and Otis, and you're just like, oh no.
and so that was my point, because like we're seeing rats on rafts, we're seeing rats get slingshotted in the face. So I was curious about the welfare of the rat actors. And actually, this movie has a really good like credit for taking really good care of the rat actors. So like even the scene with the slingshot, they would like shoot in front of the rat, and then the person holding the rat from behind the scenes would safely whisk them away before anything happened.
Does like the rat trainer get proper credits?
Nice.
Because you
Maybe
but it's
No, you're right.
You know damn well that guy worked harder than anyone else.
they were
has.
trained
yeah.
by clickers. It said that they were trained by clickers.
Okay.
And also that they didn't think that the rats would be scary enough on their own, so they had voice actors.
So it was Frank Welker got paid, is what you're saying.
I mean, rats are kind of cute if you don't like. You're not surprised by one in your
I think
closet.
rats are cute.
Yeah. I mean,
I told you my rat story, right?
You did tell
I
me.
did.
you were-
Do you want me to?
you can put it if you want to share it,
Yeah, I'll
dude.
I'll tell
if
you
want
guys.
it on tape,
The
Yeah,
transition of Charlie going, what?
I'll record this.
I'm curious. I am enraptured. Please.
in
Rat.
Rapture.
Sure.
Enraptured.
In rat. Sure.
Rat. Okay, so in my car, at one point about 2 years ago, I found like some sort of rodent's nest under the seat. Like we have toddlers, right? So we have like goldfish. There's like stray chicken nuggets like in the car. You know, it's just a mess. And it had taken a tennis ball and like shredded the outside of the tennis ball and made like a little bed. It looked really cozy. I was like, if I was a rat, I would think that would look cozy to me.
I'm disgusted, but also impressed.
Anyway, so I cleaned it all out, whatever. We got, we figured it was chipmunks. We have a lot of chipmunks in our yard. But I was like, I don't know, some kind of rodent. And I was like, maybe a rat. So my 6-year-old decided that it was a rat and its name is Kasha. And so we call her Kasha the car rat. And so like for 2 years, Kasha the car rat, like whenever they'll be like, who's in your family? He'll be like, mommy, daddy, his brother, you know, cat and dog, and Kasha. And Kasha, so like Kasha was a legit part of our family. He would draw a family portrait, and he would draw a little rat into
But you
the
never
side
saw
of it.
Kasha.
We never saw
We
Kasha.
don't even know if it was actually a rat.
We don't know if it was a rat until
Dun, dun,
The
dun.
story's about to
Go
take
on.
a turn,
Go
gentlemen.
on. I'm on the edge of my seat.
we need cringy theme music.
Cringy music. Yes.
So a couple weeks ago, I was picking up my younger son at daycare and like getting him into the car, and I smelled something like rancid. I was like, ugh, there's like a dead animal somewhere. And there was like a drain on the ground, one of those big grate kind of drains, like an it drain. And I was like, there's probably just something dead down there. So then get home, we're getting him out of the car, and I smell it again. And I'm like, okay, there's something like either it's, I don't think it's inside the car, but so then I'm looking around the car. I'm like, did I run over something? I saw something furry in the hubcap, like in between the, the tire and the hubcap. And so I got a stick and I started like just ramming the stick into this little hole. And I'm seeing fur, and then and the kids are like, "What is it, Mommy? What is it?" And I'm poking, and then the little tail falls out. And
Can you set the scene? Are all the children like spectating?
and I'm like, stand back, stay back, because they're trying to get close. And I'm like doing this stick in this hole, and I can feel its little body like resisting. It's like stuck on something. And I'm like, I'm just and then the tail comes out, and my 3-year-old, he's 4 now. I forgot he's 4. He's like, Mommy, it's a real tail. And they're like, oh, it's Kasha. It's Kasha.
Oh no.
So then I'm like, damn it. And this is really gross, actually. Like more of the bottom part of it comes out. So I stick the stick on the front and try to pull, but like it like opened a little bit.
Whoa.
So then I went back to the top because I felt that would be less traumatizing to the kids. And then I grabbed a leaf and I grabbed the tail and I pulled the tail like with a leaf, so I wasn't just holding its tail. And I got it out and I was like gagging, like I was like, ugh. And the kids were like, "What, Mommy? What?" And I was like, "It just smells really bad." And I threw it in the yard.
That is hilarious. That was more entertaining than this movie.
And then someone
By the
walked
way-
by with a lawnmower immediately.
Because
and
Keiko is
everyone-
a fully developed character. These people are not.
Yeah. Brad Dourif reading that monologue would have been very intense.
But you bring up a very good point. The rats, as actors in this movie are actually pretty compelling.
Yes.
Yeah.
They're creepy. They're well trained. I mean, in 2023, this would be done with CGI.
Yeah.
Well,
But the practical effects, gotta appreciate them.
and the way that they do it is that we don't know how this Ratsicraxioxidile thing is related to them, but that they're always watching. It's very unsettling. And again, like we're introduced to it at the beginning, but our hero opens up this bag and like 6 rats pull out, and then they line back up against the wall, and you're just like, this is his life now, and he sees it. It's there are parts of this that I think work. It's just that this is not a movie. This would have been a good short story in an anthology film like Stay Tuned Creepshow would be. Like just something that's a 25-minute or 30-minute short story.
Totally agree.
Much tighter. But like the idea that we keep going back to that damn diner for him to be mildly harassed by the yokel locals, and he kind of has a relationship with someone who is not established. Like our hero has to hook up with someone, right? So there's one other woman in town other than the waitress. So she's got to be in love with, like, it's all nonsense. But the rat part is interesting. Like the roaches at the end of Creepshow. Like there's just something about it that I kind of like.
No, you're right. They did fill it with a lot of unnecessary things. I mean, it's...
Well, they had 120 minutes to fill.
Well, no.
It was a short
thought it was
story.
No. 86 minutes.
Oh.
An hour and 26 minutes. Not
Oh, it was an
126.
hour. Okay, yeah.
So it was a tight, short movie.
This is shorter than Little Mermaid, the cartoon version. It's also shorter than the musical live action movie by about half an hour.
I feel a song coming on. Kiss the rat.
Ooh, gross. Now, when you say that, I didn't think about this movie. I thought about Keiko's rat.
I'm thinking about
Kasha.
Little Mermaid.
Kasha.
What was that reference?
Look at this rat. Isn't it neat?
Doesn't it look like something you'd eat? Wouldn't you think I'm a girl?
No,
A girl who eats
And-
everything. I don't know. I think
I want
We're
to
close.
be where the
I think
rodents
you're onto
are.
something.
I want to see them scurry, running around on those. What are they called? Oh, paws.
I have more fun talking about it than watching it.
Yeah, you know what? Like once you decide you're on the rat side, it got a lot more fun. Like
Yeah.
I will say, the first like 30 minutes, maybe it was around the 20-minute mark of this movie, I was like, this sucks. I'm like, this is weird. This is creepy. I feel like Matt, it explains some things about your psyche. I think that did you like this movie as a kid? Like,
I remember seeing bits and bobs of it. I think
Oh,
on
okay, okay.
UPN,
so it wasn't
and
like
I'm not
your
sure how
favorite
well I
movie.
remember it because I could swear on the one I saw on TV, the rat was flying.
It has
It
wings.
has wings.
Yeah, but I mean, you
has wings.
see it full on flying.
You know, this
I
might.
think you're thinking of Night Flyer.
Yes.
Yeah.
That might be. You might
It's
want
pretty
to.
hard to
No,
find
I saw
a
Night
baseline.
Flyer later.
Or the Langoliers. That thing kind of flies.
But then what I was gonna say though is like once I decided I was like, screw these people, they all suck. I'm on the rat side.
Yep.
Get them.
Yeah.
And then I'm like finding joy in the next person who is getting got by the monster, and you know.
I also do like how, for the most part, the rats are just watching, like, good, get another one, like as though the Rat King thing there is like their golem, and and they're sending him to kill.
It's saving some food for the pack.
That's
and they
right.
all just
Yeah.
feast
Now-
and they fucking party.
It's
I
like
do
a-
like that the rats are eating the corpses too, which is
Yeah.
kind of great.
Yeah.
That thing is like their god.
Now,
Well,
look
it's not
at-
really clear. Like they who works for who? Do the
Yeah.
rats work for him?
Oh, do the little rats work for
Yeah,
the big
for the-
monster,
yeah.
or does the big monster work for the little rat? I don't know.
Someone write the fanfic.
No, please, God. First
Actually,
of all,
just
There is no god here, Nick.
make it a song.
It's based on a short story, so I assume that in the short story, Stephen King's like, and the rat was their god, and like
The short
I've been
story
doing
is more
cocaine all
complicated.
week.
Actually,
The short story is a
actually,
little more complicated.
I look forward, Matt, to reading a blog post about how you would have done it,
Yes.
because
Not how you would have done this movie, but how you would have done the fanfic on who is the boss, the rats
yes,
or the monster.
Yes.
On your
Subscribe
Substack.
to my Substack,
That's right.
The World According to Quinn.
This is more
Premium.
erotic than I
Stay
expected.
tuned.
Premium content. For you pay me, I give you bonuses.
There's a lot of
$200.
talented artists
There you
out there.
Not
We
that
can't,
much.
we can't wait.
Had you seen this before?
No, I let Matt choose blindly.
What about you?
No.
No, I'm not
No,
a
I've
not
never
a
seen this
horror
before.
Now,
person.
you'd seen- okay, so I saw it. I'd seen it before. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
Sorry.
I remember I went into, it was going to be a long weekend. My parents were going to be out of town. So I went to the Blockbuster
rest in
you.
peace.
and I saw the cover and I said, oh, that looks really cool.
I have
It-
that. I have that
it
in my
has a
notes.
skull.
It's got a sweet cover.
It's got a sweet cover. It's got a skull with like a headlamp, like a miner. I was thinking like maybe there's like ghosts or living dead.
God, the
or
Crypt
something
Keeper is
like
going to be in
that.
this movie. It's going to
Yeah,
be
it's gonna
sweet.
be awesome. Stephen King's all plastered all over it. So I got this. I went home. I watched it and I was like, oh, this is gross and stupid and about rats.
You didn't have to pay a late fee on this one.
I
did
think
you?
Oh no.
I could swear I saw this in the video store when I was younger because growing up, this was the age of really vivid horror movie covers for movies I wasn't allowed to rent. So I remember a lot of these.
So you would go to it was movie gallery where I lived. We had movie gallery.
Which is, I think, still around more than Blockbuster is. Family Video and Movie Gallery aren't out of business.
I
yet.
thought they just
Are they
clo-
gone?
the time I could swear they dragged on for a little while because they owned their own buildings and they leased parts of it out like gyms and stuff. Blockbuster, the last Blockbuster in Atlanta I was aware of, got turfed out of their shopping center because the landlord could rent that space out for someone who could pay more.
Could pay it
Go
all.
on, Kiko. Sorry.
I was just gonna say, so you would like look at the covers of things that you knew you couldn't like watch to, you know.
I mean,
They were just very vivid.
Just
and
curious
interesting.
about them.
we are superficial creatures. That's the only reason anyone bought Goosebumps, right? Like,
Yeah.
I think I owned like 30 of them and read 12 of them because, like, oh, the art's cool. Like, I'll buy this.
Well, I mean, also, this has nothing. That's the only reason why anyone saw that. What was it? Jack Frost movie with the snowman that comes to life and murders people. The lenticular cover.
Oh, not like the cute one.
No,
See,
no, the horror movie one where it's like a snowman, and then as you move to the left, it turns into a skeleton. And
Oh, yeah.
yeah,
Fangly.
the holographic.
Yeah. Those are fun.
also, I realize first of all, Charlie, you're right. It's a cool cover, but it has nothing to do with mining. There's not a single. There is not one
No.
hat with a
Is
light.
there a headlamp in
No, I
this
don't
movie?
think
I don't
so.
think there is.
I don't think there was a
They have
single one.
flashlights
Nope.
because they keep dropping them.
Well, it's the. God, what was the name of it? I think Kevin Smith said this was the Weinstein thing when he worked there, but you just get a cool idea and it's on the movie. It doesn't have to do with anything. Like it's
They said, here, we're making a movie called Graveyard Shift. Artist, make
yes,
us a
exactly.
cover.
Make me a creepy cover, right? It's like World War Z. Whoever made that movie had not read the book. It has nothing to do with the book.
No,
Like-
and the beauty of a short story is there's no risk. You just jot a bunch of bullshit down on a bender, and if no one buys it, no one buys it. I mean, a film, you've got to... And these are real actors, okay? Like, okay, so, I mean, people know how production works. We're not doing one movie in one night. The other movie, in contrast, none of these actors did anything else. Like,
No.
in this film, actors did things. I don't know what their going rate was, but surely they made some money, right? Because these people have been in many, many films. There's a
Okay.
commitment to this not being a stinker. And guess what?
Well, yes. They've been in many things because they're not big actors. They were all bit parts.
That's
Yes.
right.
I mean, I didn't recognize a single part. Well, I recognized the main guy.
I recognize
Uh,
no one.
He
I won't
looked
lie.
vaguely familiar, but I couldn't tell you what he. What he
Are you
was
still
in.
talking about Graveyard Shift or talking about the other movie?
We're talking about Graveyard
Graveyard
Shift,
Shift.
my friend. That's what
Yeah.
we're going to talk about.
David Andrews. I reckon. Oh, and of course I recognize Brad Dourif. But then again, it was clear that he was the big star for this movie, and that sounds weird to say out loud.
I mean, there's a reason why this is the only director, the only thing the guy directed, John
Yeah.
Singleton. Like he did an episode of Cagney and Lacey.
I don't know why you make a movie like this. I don't know why nobody calls you back after that.
Right. He was the production assistant for Godspell in 1973. Like the man has no credits. They must have dug him out of the dumpster. Although he did stay tuned episode. He was a unit production manager. That's it. For Murder at 1600, the Denzel Washington movie, which is strange. We can have fun with it. But
Good for him.
here we are. The last act of this.
It gets so weird.
Yes. The last act of this is there's this basement, which apparently at one point was part of the mill, but it looks more like a swamp or a level from the game Doom. I don't know what to tell you. There's like just dripping water. Big Boy comes down the stairs with the ladder, which he used to spray the rats, and the ladder breaks when he freaks out.
Brogan.
Yeah,
We
Brogan.
lose Brogan.
See you later, Brogan.
Is that a real name, by the way?
Sounds like a last name.
Oh, okay, maybe. I was like, that's not a real name.
No, it's not.
Well,
But
the other guy's name was Dunson, so it's probably their last names.
Okay, yeah. that makes
yeah,
sense.
we have an Ipston, Brogan, Warwick, Danson. The lady gets a full name. She's Jane
Yeah.
Wisconsin.
Since they're all one-word names, I think that they're probably like last names.
Yeah. And again, I bet you they're well-established full-color characters in the short story, which is just says cocaine 30 times and then yells rats.
They're terrible and forgettable, but I actually had a note that I liked the kind of play off the characters. Like,
Yeah.
I thought that it was actually kind of fun. Like, it was gritty. The characters were not well fleshed out. They had a nice dichotomy, and I don't know. I mean, I enjoyed that aspect of it. I felt like they did an okay job. They acted as hard as they could.
I will say, though, like, take out some of the language. You don't really see any deaths other than the guy who's, like, inside the wing. You could have made this, like, a bad made-for-TV movie. I just... It's just right there. Anyway, so the last act is they've all donned jumpsuits like they're prisoners or something, and they've decided to go clean up this basement. And then immediately it becomes an aliens movie where they're like trying to escape back to daylight, and there's just like these things hunting him, and they at first think maybe it's just the rats. But then when Big Boy goes into and pulls out an arm, and the arm has a rat on it, everyone freaks out, and we realize we're in trouble. And since the dude breaks the ladder, they're stuck in the basement for the last 20 minutes, 15 minutes of this 80-minute movie.
It
which
drug
is
on for so long.
Yeah. And yet, it just wouldn't end.
It wouldn't end.
There's like an underwater blood river, and there's like a coffin floating in it, which they hold on to.
Yeah,
like,
because they're
And then there's this underground huge chamber
with like piles of
with piles of bones. Like with cathedral like ceiling.
yeah, mutant rat's been down there a bit.
I mean, it's weird.
It's part of this. I think part of the tunnels under the mill connect to the graveyard because that's how they dispose of the exterminator. He's killed by a coffin crypt, like crushing him.
Dude, that
Before
makes no sense whatsoever.
Yeah,
all of a sudden, we're in a graveyard and a tombstone crushes him to death.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even. Did the rat knock it onto him or
Which
something?
he deserved it because he abandoned his puppy. That
That's
was right
right.
after he was like, well, the dog's not
Here,
worth
here.
this.
Which, I don't know which came first. It just reminded me of the dog from Silence of the Lambs that Buffalo Bill has. But this week on Property Brothers, he wants a blood river. She doesn't want rats. Are we going to make it work? Every episode of House Hunters is about two people about to get a divorce. So I figured
Is this the Aqua Teen episode with the house bleeding? Hey man, I need you to make the blood flow again.
I figured the blood was from someone who died recently, like one of the other rat kills.
Maybe it was Brogan.
I think the cotton gin just has so much backlog.
It's like
that-
bodies just in it.
maybe the house itself is bleeding. Like the building itself is evil
Oh yeah,
and it's
haunted.
alive.
It's very haunted. Where do you
Yes.
think this thing came from?
Right.
Right?
It's a teenage mutant ninja crab rat scorpion.
Master Splinter has found that strange American product called meth.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Oh my god.
It's just Master
My sons,
It's Master
give me that blue velvet or whatever that Walter White makes.
Please give me the drugs.
I mean, it's just your Master Splinter on HGH. But I would like it though if, like Poltergeist, when they kill the Rat King, if the building just disappeared. Like it was just the end, and so he washes up in the next town. But this town has a pig problem instead of a rat problem, like those wild Canadian boars that are taking over Montana.
40 to 60 feral hogs.
That's right.
And then eight-legged freaks queues up. It's spider time.
Previous
Jeez.
episode,
Long ago. Wow.
deep cut.
Deep cut. One day we might do arachnophobia.
Oh yeah.
We've talked about that one before too. But yeah, so the end of this is, it's funny because other than at the very beginning where dude dies, it's really like a pro-union movie for like 30 minutes where they're just like working in this hot room. There are rats everywhere. They treat them like garbage. Why don't you leave? Well, because I need the money. Sure, why not?
I think the union.
And then the last 10 minutes, different movie again, completely. And everyone dies. And by the way, they die in weird ways. And I can't figure it out. Why does the manager, when they rescue him from the bone pile, start
Fighting
stabbing?
them?
I think at that point he'd gone crazy.
I guess so. But that was after he decides to be a hero.
Well, no,
Right.
because they wanted to break. Okay, so like in these movies, usually two people survive, right? You've got like a guy and a girl, and they didn't know each
And a
other
pizza
that well,
place.
but there was kind of some chemistry there, and they get out together, and everything's up to the imagination. And I feel like at the end of this movie, they were like, no, fuck that. Everyone's gonna die except for Hall, and he kind of sucks anyway. But like, it's in the short story, so fuck it. Like, we'll keep to that. And that's what happened.
Yeah, and there's not a final girl. It's the dude, and he's not okay with any of this. But you're right. I don't like, because the black guy gets his arm bitten off,
And then he gets dragged away.
and he gets dragged
Dragged
away.
away. Yep.
We have some crushing deaths. We have some monster deaths. But then our boneheaded Biff Tannen wannabe just goes nuts and murders her.
Yeah.
Straight up, like, takes blade of some sort, goes like
Stabbies.
pelvis to sternum,
Yeah.
just cuts her up. Strange. It's all strange.
This was his only out. Look, I got to play to my outs. This is the only way I'm getting out of
And
here.
then
Otherwise,
he
just
runs
cut you
off
up.
into the tunnels with Hall chasing him, and he runs into the rat monster, and he makes himself somewhat useful by wounding it before he goes down.
It was a valiant fight, you know.
This is the only time. He's the only time we see the full whatever monster creation thing with its velvety wings wrapping around him, its hook tail. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's like the shark in Jaws. You don't really see very much of it for most of the movie. Like you see the wings or the head or the tail when it slips down into the water like a crocodile.
Or the Aliens movie. Like that's what it is.
Ratamorph.
Well, it did give me vibes every time you saw the rat monster bat thing kill. It wrapped the victim up in its wings.
Right.
Mhm.
Did you ever see Beastmaster?
No.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes, this is perfect.
Yeah, these like tall bat creatures would wrap their arms around people and like jiggle, and then bones would fall out.
Mhm.
You just remind them to death.
Okay, but 8-year-old me was scarred by this,
Yes.
and so when I
I
saw
was
this,
scarred by the cow birth.
Wow, it's like a washing machine with teeth.
well, I'm watching this, I'm like going, oh, and so yeah, but I think the way it ends is really funny because, like you say, Warwick decides to be a hero. No, he doesn't decide to be a hero.
He does though.
No.
He says if I'm going to go to hell, we're going to go to hell together.
No,
So he's redeeming.
That's a suicide pact.
no. I have a different take. I have a different take. He embraces toxic masculinity and decides that I have to kill it because no one else can.
I think it was more to spiteful.
I also think he realizes he's going to be sued into the ground, and if he doesn't show up with a Batman corpse, like
Well, yeah.
he's like,
I
oh
can't
no,
pay
it
OSHA,
killed,
man.
it killed everyone and burned the building down, but I have evidence. Like,
That's
'cause
exactly what it is.
He knew something was up because he keeps hiring people to replace people who mysteriously disappear.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely knew something was up.
Yeah.
how have we not done Beastmaster? It has Rip Torn and Tanya Roberts in it.
I
mean,
I've actually suggested it twice, but
you have.
Moving on.
I've also suggested it.
Might have to do it soon then.
Before I forget, what is that Star Wars video? It's like the chicken duck thing.
The chicken.
I
duck
have
thing.
no idea what
Go
words
on.
you're
It's
saying
like
right now.
what,
I know
Are
what
you
you're
having
talking
a stroke?
because we keep
Star Wars chicken duck thing.
Because that's you keep talking about, you can't figure out what this critter is. Like the rat, bat, crocodile.
Okay, so
that chicken 39 times he fought the rat, chicken, duck thing.
okay, so Matt, I love you, buddy. You are the most random human being on the planet, but you're referring to a song parody called "The Bushes of Love" by Bad Lip
I was
Reading.
gonna say that's got to be one of
The
those, right?
connections your mind
Oh.
makes is just it's beautiful. It's beautiful.
Yes, it's by the ladies and gentlemen behind Bad Lip Reading, and it's
Oh,
called
it's
"The Bushes of Love."
The burning, right?
Yes. And you can you can check it up on Matt's Substack, where he's going to write 10,000 words about bushes of love. So at the end, our hero, everyone else is dead. And so he's the only witness to the death of 20 people. And he escapes into the daylight and decides it's time to leave town again.
And that's it.
and the
he's the
sign goes
eternal
up
doctor.
but-
under new management.
But he has like a face off with the monster. The monster gets its little taily stuck in the gin,
Yes.
this problematic gin that I'm sure if they just got some kind of like cover, like that like prevented.
If OSHA would just make a visit.
And have a higher price than
so
$200.
In the final moments, though, he is like the monster is about to get loose, and actually the monster does get loose. But he remembers that he has his slingshot and his Diet Pepsi cans that he carries with him,
Product placement.
Like a real hero.
and he slingshots to a big red button to turn the gin on to eat the monster. But here's what's weird. As I recall from the beginning of the movie, the gin is turned on and off by a lever,
Right.
not
Exactly.
a button. So
Maybe it's like those
Maybe they
one.
forgot.
maybe that's the fail-safe, though. Like if you can't get to the lever,
There's a
maybe
rat in the way.
there's somebody
Maybe it's like a lawnmower. You got to prime it before you pull the cord.
There you go. I mean, it is what it is. It's 110 in that room, and they destroy Rat King. I don't know. It's a joke.
And I think it's supposed to be like a bat. I think the head and everything is like a bat. It's like what a bat really looks
It's
like.
a rat bat. It's like the natural evolution. So like the only thing that scares my wife more than a cockroach is the kind that fly, and that's the natural evolution. It's like a rat. Like what's scarier than a rat?
Like a palmetto
like
bug?
what's scarier than a rat? Like one that flies and has crab claws. Fuck it.
And the scorpion tail.
In the short story,
Crab claws are a strong choice.
Yeah.
in the short story, the basement had been sealed up for like 100+ years, and the rats had like speciated into like multiple different kinds of rats.
You read the short story?
Maybe a long time ago, because my dad has a collection, Night Shift, where Graveyard Shift is one of the stories.
Yeah.
It's probably up in the playroom of my parents' house.
Again, I love King, so I'll have to go.
But put the source material in the comments.
Yeah,
because
we should
that's my
compare.
recommendation for this. Is don't actually watch this movie. Watch the trailer and then read the short story. You'll save yourself 2 hours. I mean,
Actually, you know what? That's as good a segue as any. So that's Steve's final thoughts. Giga, what are your final thoughts?
rat actors are worth it. Sponsor your local rat actors, everyone.
I thought
Raptors.
this movie was surprisingly fun if you can not focus on it too much. If you like seeing people be chopped up.
Just
Yeah,
casually.
that's yeah, it was okay. It was okay. If you're on the rat side, it's a pretty fun little movie. It's
Charlie? Not enough tits. No.
Well, I mean, I'm struggling. Usually I try to say something good about a movie.
Yeah.
I'm having a hard time with this one because it was complete garbage. Oh. The animal acting was good.
Yeah.
The animal
That's what I'm
trainer,
saying.
whoever
That's what I'm
that
saying.
animal trainer
Yeah.
was top notch. Those rats were well done. The practical effects of the rats were great. That's it.
Matt?
I watched this in 2 45-minute sessions on my Kindle on the elliptical, so it's good for that. It's entertaining, I thought, and short. And it's one of those, I guess, see once because it's entertaining the first time around. But I don't know why you'd watch it again.
yeah. Don't watch it more than once.
I mean, I would say usually my line here is it's not great, but you can watch this one with friends, or if you're someone who suffers at all from anxiety, or you've been known to have a bad trip on an edible. No, this is rats. There's nothing there are stupid horror movies we've talked about where you're just yeah, I know there's just someone killing people with a giant bobby pin in this killer workout scenario. That's fine. This, if you're at all unsettled by things, if you want a creature feature, see Tremors, right?
Yes,
please go.
Because
see Tremors.
that's fun. That's stupid. It's got a bunch of heavily armed militant militia types on a roof with guns.
And
Wait,
it
what
has
about-
actual Fred Ward, not low rent Fred Ward.
And Reba McEntire.
Yeah,
And Reba Mack as a gun-toting wife.
it's great.
That's awesome.
This movie, if you're looking for a curiosity, this is a curiosity. And again, it's the rat actors. It's the weird costume at the end.
It's also for the Stephen King completist.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is one that I'm not saying you have to skip. It's just not worth seeking out.
I would rather watch 1982 The Thing again.
Right. Of course.
Is there
Who
another
wouldn't?
movie
Yeah.
called Graveyard Shift?
I'm sure there is.
Actually, if you Google it, there's a ton of shit.
And the short
If
story
you
is
Google
called,
it, they find out the graveyard
But to
shift.
their credit, if you Google Graveyard Shift, this crappy film is the first one that pops up. So I don't know
Yes.
what that means, but
Well, and if you and Matt remembered at first the short story, not the movie, and so if you look up Night Shift, there's about 7 movies as well called that. But just in general, I would say if you want to watch a King movie, watch something even stupider than this, because this is unfortunately takes itself too seriously as well. Next week, stay tuned, we're doing Creepshow, and that's one he just wrote the scripts for, and that goes straight to Stupid City, and it's better for that.
And accent.
I mean, and funny enough, the last segment of Creepshow is what this could have been with the cockroaches.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I would have paid. I would have. If this wasn't free on HBO Max, how is there not a scene where 5,000 rats cover someone and just eat them to death?
I think that was in Salem's Lot.
Great, but it's not in the movie we're talking about, which stars a rat.
It's about rats. Yeah.
Rats should be second billed. Like, truly. Anyway, we're out of time. I already tossed this to you, but next week in our Stephen King month, we're continuing our October Stephen King month with Creep Show. And then the hammer is coming right at the end of the month with Carrie. A nice, solid end. But please continue to do all the things that keep us on the charts. Keep reviewing us. Keep sharing us. Keep helping us get these downloads because we're in our 10th season. We want these big numbers because, again, we've now been doing it for a decade. Which means, by the rules that I set up with the guys, Scott and Daniel, when we first created the show, movies have to be 10 years old to talk about them. So movies that came out the year the podcast started, we can now talk about as we're getting towards episode 500. Thanks, everyone. Let's go eat some pizza.
Oh my god.
Myopia Movies is a podcast production of Dude Letter Podcasting and is produced by Nick Hoffman. It is edited by Nerd and Daniel Suttis and is hosted by Nick Hoffman, with production assistance by Matthew Quinn, Daniel Suttis, and Nerd. The theme song is Surf Shimmy by Kevin MacLeod from Incomptech.com. Licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 4 license, Creative Commons /licenses by /4.0. Thanks.